Om Sai Ram, offering pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. I am trying to explain the meaning of Shloka 8 from chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, namely Bhakti Yoga. Sai Ram, you may please listen till the end, and if you are pleased, you may subscribe to this channel by using the link given. Now the shloka is mayy mana adhatsva, mayi buddhiṁ niveshaya, nivasishyasi mayy ata urdhvam na sanśhayaḥ. Meaning of this is, fix your mind on me alone and surrender your intellect to me. Thereupon you will always live in me. Of this there is no doubt. Commentary. Having explained that worship of the personal form is better, Sri Krishna now begins to explain how to worship him. He asks Arjuna to do two things: fix the mind on God and also surrender the intellect to him. The function of the mind is to create desire, attractions and aversions. The function of the intellect is to think, analyze and discriminate. The importance of mind has been repeatedly stated in Vedic scriptures. Chetah kalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratena vapumsi muktaye. Reference Bhagavatam 3.25.15. Captivity in Maya and liberation from it is determined by the mind. If it is attached to the world, one is in bondage, and if the mind is detached from the world, one gets liberated. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoh. Reference Panchadashi. Bondage and liberations are decided by the state of mind. Mere physical devotion is not sufficient. We must also absorb the mind in thinking of God. The reason is that without engagement of the mind, mere sensory activity is of no value. For example, we hear a sermon with our ears, but if the mind wanders off, we will not know what was said. The words will fall on the ears, but they will not register. This shows that without engaging the mind, the work of the senses does not count. On the other hand, mind is such an instrument that in it all senses reside in the subtle form. Thus, even without the actual sensory activity, the mind experiences the perceptions of sight, smell, taste, touch and sound. For example, at night when we sleep, our senses are inactive. Yet, while dreaming, our mind experiences the objects of all the senses. This proves that the mind has the capacity to experience all perceptions, even without gross senses. Therefore, while noting our karmas, God gives importance to the mental works and not the physical works of the senses. Even beyond the mind is the intellect. We can only fix the mind upon God when we surrender our intellect to Him. In material pursuits as well, when we face the situations beyond the capability of our intellect, we take guidance from a person with superior intellect. For example, we visit doctor when we are sick. We have no knowledge of medical science ourselves, and so we follow the advice of qualified medical doctor. The doctor checks our symptoms, looks at our medical reports, makes a diagnosis, and then prescribes medicines. We surrender our intellect and take the medicines according to the doctor's prescription. Similarly, if we are involved in a legal case, we take the help of a lawyer. Having no knowledge of law ourselves, we surrender our intellect and simply do as the lawyer says. In the same way, at present our intellect is subject to many defects. Akrur, who went to get Sri Krishna from Vrindavan to Mathura, described these imperfections of the intellect in the Bhagavatam, reference 10.40.25. Anityena atma dukkheshu viparyaya matirhyaham. Akrur said that our intellect is strapped with the wrong knowledge. Though we are eternal souls, we think ourselves to be perishable body. Although all the objects of the world are perishable, we think they will always remain with us, and hence we busily accumulate them day and night. And though the pursuit of sensual pleasures only results in misery in long run, we still chase them in the hope that we will find happiness. The above three defects of the intellect are called viparyasa, or reversals of knowledge under material illusion. The gravity of our problem is further aggravated because our intellect is habituated to this kind of defective thinking from innumerable previous lifetimes. If we run our lives in accordance with the directions of our intellect, we will definitely not make much progress on the divine path. Thus, if we wish to achieve spiritual success by attaching the mind to God, we must surrender our intellect to Him and follow His directions. Surrendering the intellect means to think in accordance with the knowledge received from the God via the medium of scriptures and bona fide guru. The characteristics of a surrendered intellect are described again in Sloka 62 of chapter 18 of Bhagavad Gita. Om Sai Ram.